Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's time to kick off the NBA season content. Today we have us a good host here, and Keywan Humphreys with the Swish Podcast. You can go over there and subscribe for all of your basketball content.
For sure, man. You know what I'm saying? Come by the Switch Pod. You know what I'm saying? We just getting started, but we got a lot of stuff coming up, especially with the second half of the NBA season coming. And I had to come kick it with my boy Daryl, my boy 24 Hour Sports, man. And we finna get into it.
And some teams sit back, some teams prepare to get back into the NBA. I want to know currently, as we sit here right now, what do you think about the NBA's MVP award? What are your rankings right now for the NBA's MVP award?
Well, me personally, my front runner for me, other people may not have this opinion, but I'm looking at Luka. He averaging 34.2 points per game, 8.8 rebounds per game, 9.5 assists on 49% from the field. So he's shooting very efficient. Yeah, the Mavs are 7th in the West right now, but with how compact the West is, by the time the end of the season, they may end up in 4th or 3rd. But you just look at how Luka's playing. You look at how how much he elevates his team. And people gonna talk about, he has Kyrie, but Kyrie has not played majority of this season, so he's been doing it by himself with a bunch of guys that he makes look better. And if people want to bring up Luka's not winning enough to win the MVP. Okay, Jokic won MVP in 22 at the 6th seed. Russell won MVP in 2018 or 2017 at the 6th seed. So I think the big thing with Luka is what seed does he have to get to win the MVP? Because I think you look at anybody in the league right now, I think Luka arguably is having a better season than all of them.
Yeah, I think for me, when I talk about the MVP, I'm looking at, because remember when Westbrook won it, he wasn't a top 5 seed. So you look at, actually, I'm gonna talk about this because you look at the record for the Dallas Mavericks. They're 32-23 right now. That's four wins behind the 4 seed in the Denver Nuggets. So they're 4 games behind the 4 seed. It's not like this season. I think we see in a more compact West. So it's not like in past years where we say, okay, we giving the MVP award to a guy who's in the play-in tournament, who's not winning as many games, but it's like he's just 4 games behind, and it's a long season left. So if he can get up there to at least, for me, maybe the 5th seed. Yeah. The fifth seed, once he gets to the 5th seed, if he gets to the 5th seed, you can't really use the record as a debate in that conversation. But I mean, you go to how he's playing, and even you watch some of the games, he's a one-man show. He come up the court, it could either be an ISO, it could be high pick and roll, he can get the ball in the post. So it's not really a way at this point where you can stop him. And especially if he hitting a step back 3, because he is a guard, he's tall enough to see every pass. He's strong enough. If you could build the perfect defender for Luka, it's just not. You have to build a perfect defender as far as looking at teams in the West. So I do like Luka. I think what he's doing this season, especially like you said with Kyrie, he's missed a significant amount of games. So I mean, he's going out there as him. Tim Hardaway Jr. was Grant Williams for a period of time. They traded him. So now you're looking at PJ Washington, Derek Lott. So I think for me, he is a very high favorite. And then you also have to look at, because right now, the actual odds, they have Jokic first, Shai second, Luka third, then they have Giannis, and then they have Tatum. So, I mean, do you think outside of Luka, any one of those guys rival? I mean, of course, Jokic, he's in the conversation, but if you had to pick a winner, then you go Luka.
If I had to pick a winner, I'm going Luka. But I feel like Tatum, he's getting to that point where he's kind of underrated. I'm not gonna lie to you. And he said something about it the other day. He said, I think it was yesterday. He said something about I think people are looking at how we lost the finals a couple of years ago with how I'm being, I guess, ranked now. The Celtics have been the best team in the NBA for the whole season.
I agree.
And the best player, with how history has been, the best player on the best team has been the winner of the MVP award. But Tatum's not getting that recognition for some reason. Maybe because of how good his roster is, how good the team is. But I feel like if it ain't Luka, Of course, Jokic, like you said, Shai Gilgeous going crazy. They second in the East. He's averaging over 30 points.
Yeah, in the West.
But it's I feel like it's empty, me personally.
Yeah, I mean, because I was also reading too. Draymond, he said it. The team success that Jayson Tatum has had so early in his career, it's like it's been a good thing, but it's also been a bad thing because it's like this is what we expect out of you. How much should we look at this and say, are you the MVP? And then also Jaylen Brown, like you said, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, he does have a loaded roster, but I feel like that when you play the way he's been playing, and it's been consistent this season. So when you play the way he's playing, you have the team success. I don't know how much prior seasons or past seasons should come into that. I do think he is a viable option, but for me, it's tough between Shai and Jokic because with Shai, I mean, he averaged 31 last year. He was all NBA last year, but they didn't make the playoffs last year. So now you look at it for the number 2 seed in the West. Now they're gonna make the playoffs this year, and of course, Chet Holmgren, Rookie of the Year candidate, he comes into the lineup. But I still feel like this year, it's just Shai. And we saw it last season, but you know what the argument was last season? Wasn't winning enough games. But now we're the second seed in the West. What is the argument now? And I just don't think it's that much argument. So we're gonna have to see. Hopefully, all of these guys can stay healthy because with Embiid was right there. Embiid was right there. Then he gets the injury, so he's not gonna play enough games to be in the MVP consideration anymore. But I think all these guys stay healthy. I like Luka. He's going to have to, like you said, he's going to have to get up as far as that 4th to 5th seed range. Jokic, he's right there. The thing about Jokic is it feels like with the type of numbers he puts up in Mike Malone's system, we could argue for the next 3 to 4 years, it's going to be Jokic right in the thick of things. But then I want to know what you say about
Yeah,
this. How do you feel about voters fatigue? How much will that play into it? With a new face, Jayson Tatum hasn't won it before. Shai hasn't won it before. How would that play into it?
I definitely think voters fatigue. I think it's gonna hit Jokic this year. I think to beat voters fatigue, your stats gotta be crazy or you gotta be the best team in the league. We saw with LeBron. LeBron probably should have won 2 or 3 more MVPs, but they said we can't keep giving to him. We seeing the same thing with LeBron every single year. And I think Jokic, and this is not a knock of Jokic. That's a testament to how good he is. If we're used to seeing you average 25 point per game triple double, you know what I'm saying? That's elite. But I think the media, with the way the past has been, they're gonna lean towards somebody else. Unless they somehow get to that 1st or 2nd seed, then that's a whole different conversation. But I just think voters fatigue is gonna hit Jokic this year. He's already won. He already won back to back 2 years ago. That's just I don't see them voting for him again. You know?
Yeah, that and see, like I definitely agree with that. And then you have situations like Tatum, where it's not
Mm-hmm.
really voters fatigue, but it's like kind of a narrative that's being pushed. Because if we look at Jason Tatum's stats, we look at how the team's performing, it should be an easy top top 2 candidate, if not the favorite for the MVP. So
Yeah.
it's a weird conversation to have. Like I said, it's still we halfway through the season. We're gonna have to see a lot more games, but right now I think definitely Luka. I mean the performances and what he's doing right now, and then you got Kyrie playing now, so I think they're gonna win more games. They made the trade. They got some pieces at the deadline, so I like Luka and I like Jokic too. It's just all for me. Hopefully they stay healthy. I'm gonna have to watch for Tatum though. I'm gonna have to watch for Tatum though because I don't want to be the guy who sees somebody deserving of the MVP, but I don't want to give it to him just because of a narrative. Because that's what I feel like it is. Like you said, all of the success, and now in the past it felt like they were trying to push Tatum to us as the face of the league, and then he lost the finals, underperformed in the finals a little bit versus Golden
Mm-hmm.
State. So
Yeah.
now, and then you look at last year, they almost got swept by the Miami Heat. They almost came back, and then Miami Heat won in Game
Mm-hmm.
7. So I think if he would have made it to the finals last year, or if he would have performed better and they win the finals versus the Golden State Warriors, then you're probably looking at a different conversation. But I'm not going to leave him out the conversation. I think it's a four-headed horse right now.
Yeah,
And still, you got Giannis too. I haven't even said nothing about
yeah,
Giannis. So,
Giannis.
but they have been losing a couple of games lately. So I think that's one knock. But it's I think for those five, and you also know who's a dark horse. You know who's a dark
Who?
horse?
You talking
Brunson.
about Spider?
No, Brunson.
Brunson. Oh,
Brunson.
I like it. I like it too. I like it too.